We'll move on now to look at other aspects of Nigeria over the last 63 years. Thank you for that report, Dami Durodola, looking at Nigeria at 63. Now, let's look at good governance and anti-corruption. How is Nigeria done in this regard? We have in the studio with us Dr. Tuyemi Bawundu, who is the CEO, Medway Health Limited, and is also a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the show, sir. Good morning.
Happy Independence.
I wish you same.
Wonderful studio with independent color. But I had expected you, Femi and Leslie will dress independent attire.
We're green at heart.
Yeah. Nigerians at heart.
Nice, nice.
All right, let's look at Nigeria over the last 63 years. How was pre-independence issues and even independence shaped governance in Nigeria? In your assessment, what can you say about good governance in Nigeria, beginning from 1960 and even when we had the military regime and then the civilian rule came back up in 1999 until date? What's your assessment?
Indeed, we had moved zigzag in a way that pre-independence, the trajectory was quite different. The colonial masters were actually looking at, they don't want to cause any strife, so that they can exploit as much resources from the land as possible. So they want to actually give you that semblance of goodness and good governance in quotes. But when the independence came, initially it was a healthy rivalry where the regions were competing for attention. Now you can see some regions going a bit ahead, trying to innovate and launch good products, as it were. And then suddenly after 6 years, the military came and the story is what we've seen now. I can say, categorically, the best of the governors we had would actually be those immediately after independence, when the regions were intact and they were still competing on their own. Secondly, the second burst came during the the Second Republic, when the NPN, PDP, and NPN Action Group. Is it Action? No, not UPN. NPN, UPN, and co came in, and then you saw the GNPP in Kano, and those people were actually driving their own core beliefs. So, and it was the politics of ideology. You know what NPN stands for. You know what UPN stands for. You know what Aminu Kano party stood for then. So after that, we found a way to push the politics together and to try to unify everybody. And lo and behold, when you unify people of different or disparate tendencies, you see this kind of pull aparts and the quality of governance started falling gradually. For now, good governance we have not seen. I don't care which indices you want to use. Do you want to use health services? Do you want to use education? Do you want to use employment? Do you want to use security? You want to look at food security and general security? Let's look at water supply situation in the country, or even road infrastructure. We're not seeing any of those things, at least to the level we expected to see. Not even in any region, not in any state in Nigeria.
63 years ago, Nigerians had high hopes that, years after Nigeria will blossom, will experience growth and development. And like you said, you haven't seen much of good governance. Talk to us. What are the factors responsible? What actually went wrong over the years? And why are we here?
Now, first and foremost, we may ask for independence. We may ask for freedom. The next rationality is that, what do you do with your freedom? What are you going to do with your independence? And this can be a recurrent thing in reality. People cannot tell me that Nigerians are poor. People cannot tell me that Nigeria suffered under one colonial rule. Those are not the reasons, because I can tell you countries of similitude that actually went under colonial rules, that actually suffered occupation. South Korea is an example. Went under Japanese occupation for 35 years, engaged in Korean wars, they fought their war, and then, lo and behold, everybody sat down. No resources, no single resources. Everybody sat down and said, listen, we don't have resources. We have to be innovative. And if we want to be innovative, we must be able to have participatory government, good governance, democracy. That's why you see that even as a leader in a place like South Korea, if anything gonna miss, you are bound to resign. You can even go to jail. There's no big deal. There's no any protection against anybody. If you know that as a leader you don't have anything to hide, why I will subject myself to go to jail if I misbehave. Then it's sure that I want to perform. So basically, the followership looks up to the leadership, to determine how they're going to act. And when you see your leader, who today is hustling like me, tomorrow get into governance and amass materials and wealth and ship all the money abroad and ship all the children abroad and get his health care system abroad, you are sending a lot of messages down line. So they want to replicate themselves at those lower levels. So, now when you start, the worst aspect of it is that when you start corrupting culture and spirituality of people, and then when you now sit down and say that, listen, I'm hanging my faith of that plain, clean governance in the spiritual institutions, you see, how do you get traditional rulers in your community? How do you get religious leaders? The corruption at that level, when you corrupt spirituality of people, you corrupted everything. They don't have conscience again. And then it's not just enough to give hope, you understand? You must be seen living the hope as a leader. You must be seen living the hope. So you see, first and foremost, we have leadership challenge, we have followership challenge, and then how do you explain, a greed of somebody taking 1 trillion, taking 500 billion? What does he want to do with that 500 billion? Or to go and hide it somewhere, right? So you see the pervasive corruption. It's not just about ethnicity that, because I'm this and that, because in reality, if you look at this stage now, we see a lot of people of different ethnic groups relating together, and managing yourself, an ethnic issue is gone behind the scene. When Nigeria is playing football, nobody thinks about whether you are north, east, south, or west. We think like Nigeria. So, but again, those are the things you need to bring up to unite us. You have to accentuate, those things that unite the country. But rather, when you are campaigning, it's about ethnicity, it's about religion, it's about those things we persist even after the campaign. So, in reality, the discourse at the national level is still so jejune, it's still so greedy, it's still so, short in form, that is not addressing deeper thinking, and how to actually deliver good governance to the people. And as long as Nigeria continues in this trajectory, anybody should wish for a good country. Don't let us, because my great-grandfather told my grandfather told my father told me Nigeria will be good. I'm still at the Nigeria, I'm still telling my children, should I now repeat the same thing that is not really bringing results? If we continue like this, tell you what, Nigeria will not grow. First of all, let's be honest about that. That's the starting point of rethinking the nation.
Okay, in Rethinking the Nation, we have different anti-corruption agencies that were set up to fight corruption. But yet, we still have corruption happening in Nigeria at a high level. So what can be wrong with the system?
You see, first and foremost, when you don't believe in a system, you try to take maximally from that system. I can assure you, people don't believe in Nigeria. I will tell you frankly, and especially the leadership, they don't believe in Nigeria. If you believe in Nigeria, even me, when I was growing up, I had children of politicians, children of police head schooling with me. All of us were in the same school. Okay? They have to write the same lesson. But now, at the slightest listen, they ship their children abroad. Is that they believe in the country? At the latest, when they are sick, they run abroad. When they want to buy clothes, they cannot wear Adire again. They have to go and start advertising, I don't want to mention any of those names. Even the content of the song, you can get the direction of any country when you enter an art exhibition and try to look at what is going on in the mind of this the artist. When you listen to a song, I say, what's going on in the mind of this person singing? When you look at your churches or your mosques and you see the dominant preachment in that church, you start figuring out what is going on. Those are the subliminal messages you have to pick to determine So they don't believe in the country. Even if I don't speak like Onyibo now, you will be thinking that I don't understand English. Okay? So we don't believe in ourselves. The starting point is for the government to start galvanizing us to believe that this country can work. If we are talking about renewed hope, the renewed hope should start from the fact that, yes, I'm a Nigerian, I have no apology for that, and I must do everything to promote Nigeria. If you are doing everything to promote Nigeria, and you see somebody saying that let's alter this thing so that we can have money and go and keep in Dubai, you will say, no, please, I have children and grandchildren coming. So we don't believe in the country. That is the starting point. When we start believing in the country, we'll be acting that belief. We'll be conducting ourselves in such a way to know that, let me give you an instance. As far back as 2000, I stepped, I was in America, and somebody was asking me, and I actually wanted to stay, to study and stay. He said, won't you stay in America? I said, I cannot stay because Nigeria needs a lot of doctors. American, you have sufficient one. They need it. But I won't do the same now. That has become a point of regret, in quote, for me. Okay? When I was doing my postgraduate in Sweden, I was offered the opportunity to stay. That was 2004. To stay again. I said, no. Can you make me health minister? The woman laughed. I said, no. So what do I want from you again? If I cannot aspire to my, to my apex. So in reality, if you create a country that gives people opportunity, and you can help drive that, momentum, they will believe in the country. They will stand. They will fight. They will be ready to die for the country. America don't just become America. People are ready to die for America because what they believe America can do for them. What do you believe that this country can do for you? You have to look for your road, look for your water, find your own health system, go and search for your school, run here, run there, borrow money, touch to beat you on the road, government will come and demolish your building. Why are you believing in that kind of place? So let's just be human. For instance, governance is not there's no humanity in governance. Let's be frank. And if you continue like this, the country will keep getting worse. Well, somebody will wake up one day and sell the country. By the next generation, you just wake up one day and sell the country to some another country.
Let's look at the issue of corruption. I've heard stories from those who were elderly about in the 60s. I wasn't born then, where for me to have been able to understand what happened. But I've heard stories, people talking about where honesty was the order of the day. You hardly heard about corruption, embezzlement, things like that. But now, what is the story?
There was. Okay. Don't let anybody tell you any story. There was corruption, but the skill, I think every country must get to a point where you must not pass through, where in what I call a post-shame Nigeria, nothing shames us again. Okay? Something you would say, because in reality, it was anathema. If somebody who we know is pedigree suddenly appears in the village square with a jeep, with a big car, with a lot of, everybody say, please don't take his money. We don't know. You don't, please remember who your father is. Don't go and spoil my name. Leave that man alone. The man feels shame because there's no acceptance within the community, despite all his wealth. But now, of course, they will go and do Ashwebi and welcome the man to the village square, that you are the big man. And you that is struggling and thinking properly, they look and say, hey, what you do, what your education do for you? What are you to us? So as long as you keep that kind of narration, that you have moved to post-shame society, that nothing shames you again, that there's no limit to say here and no further, then you are in a roller coaster. But again, it has just become a culture now. And then for me, I have even been thinking, how do you deal with corruption? You have EFCC, you have ICPC, you have this, you have police, you have this SFU, all of them trying to fight corruption. It became difficult. And I've been thinking, can we actually use corruption to drive development now, since we cannot fight it? How do I mean by using corruption to drive development? Somebody took 1 trillion naira, took it abroad. Somebody took $300 million, took it abroad, and hide it in Dubai, hide it in US, hide it in UK. The money is hiding there, not doing. Supposing you took the money and said, please bring the money. We have infrastructure. We have road network. We have schools to build. We have health system to build. Come and invest in our electric grid. For investing it, take 1% of the thing. We will leave you alone. Maybe that is going to try to rethink the trajectory of really dealing with the corruption. Whereas we start plugging all those issues. But as it is, everybody, including me, that is looking for posts, that is in civil service, that is doing any work, including those guys working with you here, they are looking for how to game the system. Everybody's just looking for how to game the system. And I usually do this experiment. It's a social, it's a social science experiment, when people say, I need money, I say, okay, look, wait, I'm giving you $10 billion. How will you spend it? The person will first rant, I'll buy a house, I'll buy this, I'll buy that. I say, okay, all the money you spent is not up to 200 million. You still have 10 billion left. What are you going to do? Say, I will invest the money. I say, okay, after investing, you have gained. Your money is now $20 billion. How will you spend it? So in reality, you see that people desire things and they don't honestly think through why they need the thing. This concept of primitive acquisitiveness that I must grab. We should be able to address at the point of cultural, at the point of religion, at the point of traditional institutions. But those are actually the cesspool of that corrupt practices. So now, if we are fighting corruption at those levels where we cannot get it through, do we now start looking at how to use corruption for development? I don't know. You are the media people, because I don't know where to go next. If you know any other thing, if you say, come, go and shoot people, you have to kill everybody. And then they rally against you. You know the concept of Israelites, when they got to a point that said that, we used to eat meat, where's meat again? Even they had freedom. They don't know what to do with the freedom. They were thinking of their mouth. It has not changed. It still be our mouth. What do I eat? What do I eat? What do I eat? And they eat and they get fat. And then me as a doctor, I'll prescribe to them, eat, leave alone. When they get to certain age, now leave alone, you go to chop, and water you go to drink. So human beings are not, and it's our school system. Because in my head, I can relate all those things that has to do with good values. Those are cursory, those poem you put in your head, and you recite every day, everyone in the morning in the school. What is hard work? What is living life of corruption-free? We're imbibing culture. But right now, it is all the songs they are listening to, and they are dancing. So it's okay, but let the song elevate. We had songs those days, from everybody, and even the so-called fella that some people still gave us songs that actually motivate us to want to strive for an egalitarian society. But again, it's a lot of problem. Me, I'm not hopeful, let me tell you. I'm not going to tell my son that Nigeria is going to get better. Why? I have gone through this. That's big. No, I have gone through this. You can be hopeful. Nice. But me, personally, I'm not hopeful. Because every time we look at, say, by the time we change leader, things are going to get better. But look at the trajectory.
But the president has assured Nigerians now that with the present reforms that they should give him time. He's campaigning on the fact that he's going to bring renewed hope. So don't you think if you give him time, he's going to deliver and then make Nigerians happy again?
You know what? If I'm going to give you time, you give me the flow, the time frame, the flow. Low-hanging fruit, this and this, by certain time, this and this should happen. But for me personally, I had looked at it. We had a lot of hope that we're going to see much difference. But when you come and say that subsidy is gone, float naira exchange rate, and I knew from that day one, I started raising voices that it won't work. You don't just wake up and throw things. It won't work. There are processes to everything, and there's a graduation of making everything happen. What has happened to you are floating in naira when you don't have industrial base, when you don't manufacture anything, when unemployment is 20-something%, okay? When in reality, you import virtually everything. It won't work. It won't work.
Given the way that
I'm not an economist, but my grandpa has told me that, my grandma, sorry, has told me that economics is common sense made difficult.
All right, given the way the federal government is going about achieving the renewed hope, first of all, there were certain measures that were put in place, or certain policies that were made such as removal of subsidy, which is causing a bit of hardships, and then government is trying to cushion the effect. We also have the floating of the naira. But the President Tinubu has already said in his speech that is committed to some reform, fiscal reforms to ensure that Nigeria economy grows. Now let's look at there's the Economic Advisory Council. Let's say the Economic Advisory Council is going back to its drawing board and trying to evaluate situations and putting things together. But you just you talked about things not changing or you not being hopeful. What would happen in Nigeria today that will ignite the hope of not just you, but every Nigerian?
You see, the eye is always on the North Star. The eyes, we're focusing on the president. But first and foremost, you see, that kind of what happens at that center will determine a lot of things. The change starts with you. The change starts with the president or presidency, as it were. If you know that your economy is bad and you are appointing everybody possible, and you are having an over-bloated thing, everybody will be looking at it. If you say the economy is bad and your what's it called? Your convoy is 50 different vehicles and there's no fuel, everybody will be wondering what is going on. If you say economy is bad and you see ostentatious living, because what else does a person who's gotten to the level of president, that's the peak of achievement within any nation, that I am the president, I am all the power, and everybody will be wondering. So then the second thing is that you have to reignite that hope that you have renewed. It's not just by sloganeering. You have to ignite it. These youths are jobless. What are you doing exactly? They don't have hope in the country. How do you really talk to them? How do I enter the youth? Am I entering them through their religious belief? Am I entering them through the entertainment industry? What am I actually doing for them? Am I entering them through the educational institutions and ability to really create, to reward their creativity? Okay? Now, there are lots of things you can do. And you don't tell me that somebody is going back to drawing board. You must have your drawing board ready before you enter government. You cannot just enter government and say that you are going back to drawing board. So because when you are in the government, you must have sat down and look at those critical areas. What I'm supposed to do in this area, what I'm supposed to do in that area. These are the way we move the country forward. Then when things happen, what do we do? So, but for me, if you don't reignite people's hope, because if I believe in a cause, I can make a lot of sacrifice, renew hope, truly renew my hope. Give me assurance. Show me by act, not just speech. Show me by act that in really you are giving me an assurance. What should happen? Cut the cost of governance. Reduce ostentatiousness. Make this thing realistic. Be open in terms of your transaction. At a point in time in this country, when I was in university, every month, a dear God will come and tell you the spending of the country. Again, it's a dictatorial regime. The guy will come and tell you that we made this, we spent this, we put this, we approved this and this. This is the state of the thing. But here in Nigeria, you see guys that we know, that we perceived having stolen money, different, some of them heading this parastatal, heading that, doing that. And then it seems that violence, disobedience, corruption pays. And then the second thing is that, when God wanted to create heaven and earth, let me just be a bit of Christian here. I'm not really one. So the first thing God did was to say, okay, let there be law and order. Moon, stay there. Sun, stay there. Water, don't pass this limit. Leave, they stay here. Without law and order, you can't build any society. When you see people breaching your law and order rampantly and still walking around, that society cannot grow. Go and do anything. So the first, even my body is a testimony that law and order must be obeyed. Because I must sleep at a certain time, I must digest, urine must be made, and the reaction must go on every time. Once you breach that, there's a disharmony. But when you see people trampling on your law and order and manipulating, so if you don't act your renew hope, if you don't renew the justice system, if you don't find jobs for these younger ones that are coming, and give them new trajectory, which country are you going to build now? Go and cut your excesses in governance.
All right. you were always talking about it, but let's still look at the issue of rule of law, because that's what drives, good governance. We have agencies of government, the judiciary. Even when it comes to corruption, you have EFCC, you have ICPC. Talk to us. Is it that the big men are more powerful than the system? How do we change the narrative where rule of law will be the order of the day and people will comply?
First and foremost, it has been shown that president in this country, once you have money and position, anything can happen. That's not a country now. That's chaos. That's chaos. That's a wicked. Wicked problem is, definition of wicked problem. It's a problem that when you are trying to solve one, it creates more problem. And that's what Nigeria is a wicked problem, as it is. Because you will see people, locals, conniving with kidnappers, conniving with abductors to say, okay, go and grab that person so that I can share part of the money. You will see it go right up to the law enforcement agents. We all know this now. I mean, it's not just assumption. So how do you want to build that kind of system? Okay? You see dishonesty at the highest point. Because at a point in time, if me as a president or me as a governor could find out that I'm wrong in this thing, I will come openly and do a broadcast. If I have to leave, let me leave. Because the country should be bigger than me. The system should be bigger than me. But what you see every time is that once I am a big boy, and a big boy, drive cars, any car you want, you take your team, go back, go on the road, even on the road. You wonder, where is this guy going? At the first, where is even the road? Where's the road? Have you seen any road in Lagos, for instance? You're in Lagos. Have you seen any road? Where's the road? From Ekpe to Aja, no road. From Ikorodu to down to Itokin, no road. Everywhere, no road. And somebody is saying, on the road. For what now? I think that there's what they call mass psychosis. You can have a mass madness in a country when chaos prevails. Nigeria is a chaotic situation. Go and put law and order. Even me, if I run foul of the law, treat me equally. And that's what you see in a country. Why would Trump be facing all those kind of things? Can that happen in Nigeria? Why would somebody go right ahead and mess up and embezzle? Somebody brought a fake plane, painted in the number of Nigeria and flew it back and said that's not here in Nigeria. And the guy is walking away enjoying his money. You think the younger ones are not looking? But if I were them, I would sell Nigeria. I would sell part of Nigeria. Let us be honestly. I will say part of Nigeria. Let's see how it's going to be.
But the citizens also have a role, because every time we talk about leadership, so what should be the role of citizens in ensuring that these ills we talk about do not continue?
You look like a Christian. Where at every point in time, is it not leader they choose for them? Is it not that they castigate? Is it not leader they remove?
But it also takes two to tango.
No, you see, leadership gives direction. That's why head is actually the head. It gives direction. It gives policy things. It shows examples. You cannot think, everybody talking about Singapore now, we still have a followership. A leader directs followers and says, this is the way this thing should go. And that's how it is in nature.
So let me rephrase. In ensuring accountability, in ensuring that leadership lives up to their role, what is the role of the citizen? Okay, good. The role of the citizen is to actually look at the leader and his direction and obey the leadership. Now, let me first of all clear a bit of your doubt. You think leadership is about, yes, head of president, this and no. Leadership occurs at different levels. In this setup now, the different levels of leadership. Okay? Now, maybe you are the news producer, you have to actually set some things in place. There's the CEO there. Leadership. So for you at your level, you are also a leader. Let's face it. And it behoves you to function as a leader in that realm. Not thinking that, not posting your duty to the CEO. Now, if you look at the country, there's, apart from the political leadership, traditional leadership are there, spiritual leadership are there, intellectual leadership are there, and then, of course, business leaderships are there. These are the level of leadership. Now, if you put somebody as the VC of a university, and not the guy could think of how to run after a small girl and then embezzle money, that's not the purpose of the president now. Okay? If you put somebody that, listen, no, this is a park you have to manage,
and the president start beating everybody, chasing them around. That's not the work of the president now. If somebody is the head of a church, and all he's doing is how to scam you and tell you fake prophecy, is that presidency? Now, all of us are leaders. Let us honestly, and that is why for me, I keep telling anybody, I don't need to read any holy book to know that I don't need to sleep with another person's wife. My mother told me so. It's part and parcel of my culture. By the time I'm going to jettison it, I'm disobeying the person I respected most in my life. That's my mother. She told me so. I don't need any Bible. I don't need to go to any church to learn that. So in reality, what we have done is to numb, our culture, our structures, in trying to create another one. So coming back to your question, all of us are leaders. All of us are followers. It's not a hierarchical thing. It's a cyclical thing. All of us are, at every point, we are leaders, and all of us are followers. Let's act like leaders, proper leaders where we are. And let's act, because even the president is a follower, because he's got to come back and get our votes in recent time. And when he buys the vote from us, we are compromised.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tuyemi Bawundu, for the very brilliant submissions that you've given this morning as we talk about Nigeria at 63. Femi, you've been quiet and smiling. It's like it's giving everybody food for thought when you said we're all leaders. And that's true. At different levels, we all exercise one form of leadership or the other. It just means that everyone should sit up to their responsibility and be the check.
That's true.
For themselves.
Just like men are in sizes, leadership is in phases. So at different levels, you're involved in one leadership or the other. It could be at the local level, it could be at the state level, it could be at the federal, it could be in your church, in your local group. And like he said, everybody is a leader, and it's everybody's responsibility to ensure that Nigeria is better than what it is now.
Thank you very much for being on the show. We've been talking with Dr. Tuyemi Bawundu. He's the CEO of Medway Health Limited and is also a public affairs analyst.